Well, good morning to you all. Welcome to Vlog 92. I am not Tara Brabazon. That would be this lady here. This is Ben Chambers, and some of you may have seen me before. I'm Natalia Schmel. So, welcome to the vlog. Today, we're going to have the fun job of quizzing this lady. Instead of her just telling us stuff, we're actually going to quiz her. It's fantastic. Very exciting. So,
hi.
Tara. Yes, say hi.
Hi everyone, this is very, very exciting for me. This is sort of like our New Year's Eve special, and the wonderful Nat said to me she wanted to do something a little bit different. So this is her space, this is the wonderful Ben's space, and I don't know what they're going to do, but this time is theirs, so let's see. And I love you both very, very much. You're very special people in my life, so let's share this time just before you finish your PhD. I'll shut up now.
Whew. Okay, all right. Well, we'll start off with a quick one. Tara, what did you want to be when you were a kid? What were your aspirations when you were like this big?
A little person. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, little person. Look, I didn't have aspirations when I was a little person. I actually didn't. I didn't, like, when I grow up, I did not want to be a fireman or a train driver or anything. I really didn't. I came from a pretty tough background, and I hated school with an absolute passion. I was pretty good at it, but I had a sort of a disability and impairment, so I looked a bit odd. I probably still do. Walked a bit odd, looked a bit weird. And so I had, so school was absolutely torture every minute of every day for me. In about grade 5, so I suppose how old am I, about 10 or something, maybe 9 or 10, I had a teacher who said to my beloved mother, oh look, she can write. She doesn't write like anybody else. She doesn't write like anybody else at all. And look, I could correct it, but I think there's something special there, so let's see how that develops.
Wingdings, or what do you mean special?
I know, but she was seeing something, I think, Natster, in the style or the prose that was odd.
Sure.
That was unusual, and so really, I suppose I thought, well, look, I'm probably pretty good at writing then.
Sure.
But so I didn't know what I was going to do or be. My father, Big Kev, who is 89 years of age, decided if he's got a bright daughter with a big mouth, that I would end up a lawyer. He would be wrong, and he still hasn't forgiven me. But I did go to university. The only thing I would say to you is, in terms of who I am and what I became, I hated school. My life started, who I became as a person, I think really started when I got to university. University was everything to me. It was an opportunity to become the person that I thought I could be, and so school was always a bit of a dead loss and a disaster for me. But I could become the person I imagined I could be when I went to university. So anybody out there who's thinking of going to university, do it, because it's the one place where you can become your best self. So even when I arrived at university, I didn't know what I would be or become. I didn't know a thing like a master's degree existed. I came from a pretty tough background, so none of that stuff was available. But I loved learning. I loved the idea of knowledge and communication and stuff. And so that's probably what I've ended up doing. But no one's more surprised than me, can I say?
Well, how's that for inspiring? So we don't actually all need to be privileged to get somewhere. It's about working hard and possibly being a bit eccentric and determined.
Maybe, and also we'll talk about this maybe, but also taking chances when they come, like letting life unfold for you and being cool with that and taking opportunities when they come up.
I like it.
I guess that leads on to my question then, which is when I first got your email, I noticed how many qualifications and degrees you had. And
she has the alphabet after her name. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's quite long. And I was curious on, firstly, how does one accumulate these, given that you'd expect so many years behind each one? And what on earth led you to do so many?
Look, and Ben's it's a great question. I've got two of the great, I think, minds in science that are talking to me today. No, I'm not joking about it. You're both amazing. And so these guys are committed deeply to science, and because of Nano, in science, really, Nano is the interdisciplinary arm of science and so many of the science disciplines. So you guys understand interdisciplinarity, but I did a traditional history degree at a very traditional university and did a traditional research master's at that university and did very well. But that wasn't what I was after, because at that time, and I'm very close to death, and that was a very, very long time ago, history was about old white guys. It was empiricist theories, very reified, very basic, very straightforward, and basically the bulk of life, the bulk of people's experiences was outside of history. So for me, when I did my first degree, when I did my master's degree, research master's degree, I decided I was going to do a second bachelor degree at the same time. in what I thought was the really innovative, edgy area of media, communication, the cultural studies area. So while I was doing a research master's, I did a second bachelor degree at the same time, and I loved that. So that improved my interdisciplinarity, and I suddenly had the methodology and the experience and the expertise to be able to put the voices of the disempowered into traditional history. I needed the strategies to do that, so the second degree gave me that. And then when I decided to do a PhD in cultural history, the in-between of the two, I then did a second master's degree at the same time as my PhD in cultural studies. So I did, as Ben says, work out. The time doesn't quite work out if you add up, because obviously I'm 320 years old, but I'm 48. And so I did a lot of the degrees at the same time and concurrently, Ben. And then, so I did all of that and it worked quite well. And then I decided I was getting jobs in a university. No one was more surprised than me. But I went, I'm teaching students, why the hell don't I have education qualifications? It's like, just because I have a PhD doesn't mean I can teach. So at that point I then went, finished the PhD, I'll do a Bachelor of Education. And then I sort of kept going and went, oh, look, well, I'll do a Masters of Education then, so I really know what I'm talking about. And then a couple of graduate diplomas happened on the way through in internet studies, because I wanted to be a proper expert in online learning and coding and so forth. So that was a big deal early in my career. So I did that graduate diploma. And I most recently did a very odd one in gastronomic tourism.
I noticed that.
Yeah, because I have a big commitment in regional development. So I'm very interested in regions that, particularly post-manufacturing, are poor and health and education services are leaving. And so how do we render them more socially just? How do we get jobs back into those environments? So for me, food and wine and education are strategies to do that. Having said that though, Benster, the Graduate Diploma of Gastronomic Tourism was a disappointment. I only just finished that a couple of years ago, and it was a disappointment. It probably is the last qualification I'll do, because it was very expensive, $2,700 a subject.
What?
But 3 of them were great subjects, but the rest of the degree was not. So that might be the last degree I do, not because I don't want to, but actually because I think degrees are being dumbed down and I'm not getting as much out of them, and I'm doing bits and pieces of professional development through MOOCs at the moment. So that'll be my pathway for the next few years. So does that sort of answer your question a bit?
Sort of. I'll adapt it further.
Of course you will, you scientist, you.
When you work concurrently with your topics, I guess, was it the Masters and a Bachelor?
Yeah.
How did you organise your time? Was it 50-50? Was it just whenever you felt like you got motivation for one?
I was much more savvy than that, even as a young woman. I very much made the bachelor subjects that I was doing and the assignments align with the research masters at the time. So in other words, because I chose the bachelor that gave me the methods, the methodologies and the reading for the masters that I was doing, the overlap was probably between 40 and 60%. So every bit of reading I did in that bachelor or that master's while I was doing the PhD went straight into the bibliography. So because I chose a topic that was, I did the bachelor and the second master's because I wanted it to be interdisciplinary, because my research was interdisciplinary. So I made sure the overlap was very, very strong. And I learnt a lot. It was powerful. It was fantastic.
Wow. That's cool. Well, I wanted to ask from there then, with that massive stream of degrees and everything else, was there anything about any of those that you would regret or change in that? And would you actually want any further education? You said the gastronomic tourism's probably the end of it, but...
Look, I loved every second of it. I suppose coming from my sort of background, Natster, education was always a privilege, and I still believe that. So when people sort of say, oh, look, I don't like this degree, I'll just leave this program, it's like I'm going... It is a gift, it is a privilege. So I have absolutely no regrets about doing that at all. I've loved it, but I do worry about sort of the future of higher education. I write on the challenges of the future of higher education, that we mustn't dumb down the degrees. We've got to respect teaching and learning. But I'd say the great thing I did was make a decision to do that education stream on the way through. You are both fantastic teachers and fantastic communicators. You are, and I'm not sure if I was at the age of these guys, but because I actually am an expert in teaching and learning, all sorts of opportunities and options have emerged that wouldn't have if I'd gone, I've got a PhD, therefore I can teach. There's an arrogance there that I'm not really comfortable with.
It happens a lot though. I've seen that.
It mostly happens, and it's horrendous. And also, one other thing I'd say to you, as a woman, I apologise, Ben, for one man. It's a woman. I think people believe them when they have these interdisciplinary interests, and they say, look, I have this interdisciplinary expertise, and they haven't got the qualifications. I think you're believed. Whereas I did all these qualifications, I suppose coming from a place of underconfidence, that I believe in this interdisciplinary project, but because I'm a woman, people wouldn't necessarily believe me. And so the qualifications were a way to credential my interdisciplinary expertise in a way that people perhaps couldn't doubt. So maybe it came from an underconfidence on my behalf.
Okay. All right, I like that. I've got another one for you.
I am.
So, on this, you appear to be such a high achiever. I'm sure some of you would have seen all of this in action. Yeah, look at you being all humbled by, go on, own it, you own it.
I know.
So, you're such a high achiever. You do so much. Firstly, do you bloomin' well sleep at all?
Yeah.
And secondly, what do you do to avoid burnout? Because most of us burn out when we do half of what you do.
Yeah, look, it's lovely you say about high achievers. I never feel that. I feel the thing about being a teacher, that's true, and something about being a researcher is it does make you humble, because you know how much there is left to learn. And that's the great thing about knowledge, is that you go, this is who I am and I've done well, but you read something and you go, that person is absolutely inspirational and extraordinary. So there's always that sense of something new to learn. So that's the first thing I would say. Yes, I do get up very, very early. My whole family gets up very, very early. That's just something I've always done. And I think it sets me up for the day too, because it just means I've done 2.5 hours of reading and research before I have the wonderful time I do with these wonderful students and our colleagues. So that's important to me, because there'd be something really hypocritical about me being the Dean of Graduate Research and looking after all of you, and me not being research active, and me not reading at the cusp of knowledge, and me not writing every day. That would be absolutely abysmal. So, you know, if you're gonna bring it, you've got to bring it, right? So you've got to commit to that, so that I'm not a hypocrite for these guys. They know that their dean is trying to work at the cusp of knowledge every single day. So that's important. The burnout one is an interesting question, because I never have writer's block, and I never burn out. I've never burned out, and I work sort of 18 hours a day, and I've done that since I was probably 21. And every day I wake up every morning and go, yes, come on. And I do that. Every day is a gift. Every day is a joy. Breath is a good day. If you're breathing, it's a good day, right? And I think the reason I don't burn out is because I also say I live every day as if it is my last. I really do, and I've done that my whole life. My parents did the same thing. So I live every day. I get every bloody drop out of every day, go, I've had a good day, I've done everything I can today, and if I die overnight or I die tomorrow morning, it's been brilliant. So I think if you live like that, you never have a burnout, because every day is a gift, every day is a joy, and tomorrow isn't promised to anybody. So that's why I don't burn out, because burnout suggests that you've got plenty of time, and none of us do.
That's so true. Well, how's that for an answer? I suppose a lot of it comes from coming from the right place in yourself then, hey?
Look, I think so. Now, it's an interesting point, but yeah, it is about, life is precious, and enjoying the time and enjoying the people and not taking anything for granted. And also, I don't judge myself. I think you two particularly, they're both incredibly brilliant people, and you're also very demanding of yourselves. You both are, and you have incredibly high expectations. I have incredibly low expectations, right?
That's what we're doing wrong.
That's what they're doing wrong. And also, I don't judge myself. So I've had a good day, I've done everything I can today, and hashtag no judgment, let it go, move to the next day, nothing is given.
That's amazing.
So you mentioned you get up early in the morning, etc. Do you have a set wake up and bedtime, I guess,
yes,
or is it just with the flow? So it is set.
Oh, it is routinized within an inch of my life. Okay, so every day, you know, the work day is different. So my 9 till 5 work day is different every day, but the routinized nature of the day is identical 7 days a week after week, month after month, year after year. So I've got up at the same time since 1993.
And it's about 4 a.m, isn't it?
It's 2:30.
You get up at 2.
I get up, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but it's a really wise question you've asked there. It's all routinized. So I never have to waste energy thinking about what I'm going to do next, because I always know, so I just do it. Saves a lot of time.
Now that's a key trait of some high achievers. You know what? That's apparently one of the reasons Einstein always wore the same outfit, because he literally didn't want to waste the brain power on something that trivial. Mind you, I think some of us have the need for the fabulousness, so
yes, but can I say,
bleeding out a little?
Yeah, you are bleeding out, so, but can I also say, in terms of clothing, Nat, and I know you and I are clothing sisters, I also, things like that, I've organised my clothes for the next week. I do on Sundays.
Sure.
So every day I know what I'm going to wear, so I never go, oh.
It's just an excuse to hang out in a shoe cupboard. I know that.
Look, and all the shoes are done, all the shoes, and of course my shoes. I have a whole shoe wardrobe. I have a shoe room.
I've heard about.
I have a shoe room, and so it means I go, right, well, this is my outfit for Monday. What are the shoes? And so it's all organised. I see Ben is so excited by this conversation, and but again, all of it is about saving time, stopping the overthinking about stuff that really doesn't matter at all, and focusing the energy on the higher order work. So you're thinking well, and you do your high order work when you're at your best.
I like it.
So,
I like that.
So you think that without the routine, it
I would be
very
nothing.
tough? Yeah.
I would not have achieved anything in my life without getting up early. Nothing.
Well, I like that a lot. So with your goals, Tara, that's another one. So you have, I mean, we all have goals, right? All of us will have some goal of some sort. So when you have a goal, are you the sort of lady that'll go, right, that's my goal, and you just simply go, right, I've got a 5-year plan now for this and this and structured, or are you simply, this is my concept, let the universe take me there, sort of a, you know?
I love you with the let the universe take me there too, because that's just unbelievable, Nat. No, see,
well, you know what I mean? You throw the goal out there and you go, well, I'm just going to keep being amazing and push, and then let it happen as well as make it happen a little bit, you know?
Just
guidance. Guidance.
Doctor Who style.
Right, so I'm not that. I'm not. I don't sort of put it out to the universe and let the universe decide. I'm really not that person, and I'm also not a hyper planner. What I'd say is in fact, I did a vlog on this time last year, but every every New Year's Eve, I do plan out my research. So these are the areas I think I'll write on for the year. So I do plan that a year or so at a time. But can I say, I don't plan anything else in my life. I have never, at 20 gone, this is where I'm going to be. And I know that's unusual because I was on a panel. In fact, the wonderful Emma, she was there as well at this panel. And like there was this bloke I was sitting next to on the panel, and he went, at 20, I decided this is what I was going to do. This was the money I was going to make. This is who I was going to marry. This is the house I was going to live in. And he did all of this, and he said, I have met all those targets. And then of course, then they went to me, so Tara, tell us about that. And I was like, I have had no plan. I have had no sense of goals at this particular age. I needed to do this, none at all. My life has happened to me, but this is maybe about the universe thing. My life, so I had no plan, no sense of what I was going to do. This is astounding, this is fantastic, but I have been open to opportunities when they've emerged. So I have let life happen to me, but when life has happened to me, I've really jumped at it and I've gone for it. So does that sort of make sense? So I haven't gone, look, at 35 they will do this. I've never had that, never had anything like that at all. I've sort of let the universe happen. Yeah, and it's been brilliant.
Good. Brilliant. That makes me feel better. I'm sure there's a few of you out there as well. I'm another one where I was like, people, what do you want to do with your life?
Ben, do you have, is it a bloke thing? Do Ben's have,
Depends.
Depends. And blokes have plans? Have you got a sense of like at 35 I want to do this? And have you got a sense of that?
No.
You're letting it happen?
Yeah.
Embrace the chaos.
Well, let's hope it's not chaos, but let's hope it's opportunities.
I like that. Chaotic opportunities.
Okay. See the scientists. Unbelievable.
A bit of a different change in the question, I guess. When you make your vlogs,
yes,
I've only seen a few of your many, but in terms of writing them, do you get much insight as to your own development from them? Like when I do writing, I tend to learn things as I'm trying to explain it.
Yeah.
So at the same time, you're learning concepts. So it's for your own development. Do you get a lot of development out of your own vlogs?
Oh, look, I get a huge amount out of it, Benster, and I decided that I would do these vlogs. If I go backwards a little bit, I've had about 3 or 4 managerial jobs before this one, where I was the head of sort of research areas, where I had a staff group, often early career researchers, and I had to get them research active quickly and succeeding quickly. And so I got into the habit of sending a weekly email as the head of department or head of area, and I've always had departments that are over multiple locations. So my last job at CSU, I had a campus in Bathurst, campus in the wonderful Dubbo, and Burlington in Canada. So they're spread over a lot of space. So I'd send a weekly email getting people sort of organised with research. So, oh guys, these new journals are doing this interesting thing. So I'd pick a topic each week, and I would say, guys, these journals are available for your consideration to publish in. So it was a way to encourage people to think about new ideas and publish. But they were in sort of the areas of education or sound engineering or whatever. So they were more sort of honed into subjects and disciplines. When I took this job, which is what we call a portfolio job, so over the entirety of the university, I couldn't structure a Friday email around a particular discipline or topic because you're in everything, right? So that wouldn't be fair or reasonable. But I decided in this new job that I would be challenging for myself, Ben. So I would actually say, what would be really difficult for me? What would be really challenging for me to do? Because I've done podcasts, I'm a media professional, done all sorts of stuff. What would be really challenging for me to do in this new job? And the answer was doing a weekly video, which requires doing the research for about 20 minutes of content at a top level, writing that script, learning that script, and filming it at no cost to the university. So the first thing is, it would be challenging for me because that's quite, I'm creating a small film once a week on my own. So I thought, well, that's really challenging and interesting. But then I suddenly found out about Flinders, that 1/3 of our students live outside of South Australia, and one third of our students are part-time, and they're not the same third. So that means the majority of our students have a disconnection, if you will, from our campus. So I wanted to try and find a way that they would know their new dean, know the office, feel a connection to that person, but also, people talk about student-centred learning a lot. And I thought, well, let's do this properly. Let's get the students to suggest what the content is. So that's great for me, Ben, because it's like just about every vlog topic has been decided by these guys, right? So just about every one of them, a student goes, I'm really interested in this. And I go, I would never have thought of this. So I have to go away and research a topic I'd never thought of and write up content and package it into 20 minutes. So for me, it's great because I want you guys to feel like, if you're not interested, because we've got students that, they've got a relationship with a supervisor and they want to be left alone. We've got other students that want the full immersive experience of a PhD. And so what we've got to do in the Office of Graduate Research is provide a suite of materials that all students can get something from. So I wanted students to think they've got their own little television program, really. So once a week, they get their own program. I talk directly to students, I name the students who have come up with the vlog that week, and so I want you to feel that ownership that this is yours, that there's all this weird media stuff out there, but once a week, someone really cares about you and cares about you so much that if you make a suggestion, I'll take 100 hours and create something for you if I can.
She really will.
Oh, yes, sir. But so does that make sense? But it was challenging for me. So I went, what can I do that I haven't done before that will enable research but also be student-centred and challenging? So that's how I came up with the idea. And it's gone better than I ever imagined it would go.
Oh,
but this is my favourite vlog, can I say? Because this suggestion came from...
Well, I was going to ask you about your exuberance in the workplace and, if that's something that just comes naturally or if it's something that you've sort of worked on over the years. I think you've probably in a lot of ways already answered that question quite simply by going with, to know that you do not know will create further burning for knowledge. And then also the simple fact that you have so much gratitude for life, I'm guessing is sort of the source of all of that.
I think so. And
because you talk about non-toxic workplaces, I've seen the effort you put in. Any of you that have actually met her, you will have probably seen this as well. Everybody that works with Tara is about 50 times happier than most other people around the place because you have this incredible consciousness about creating the correct environment, and there's such a drive in you for that.
I'm a Gen Xer now, so I'm 48, and so Gen Xers are people born between 1961 and 1981, and I'm about in the middle of that generation. And my generation were treated pretty disgracefully by the baby boomer generations that dominated our universities. I'm just going to call a spade a shovel, I always do in these vlogs. And so my generation have had to suffer temporary contracts, pretty bad stuff, toxic environments, bosses that are inexperienced, that are talking about teaching and learning, don't have any teaching qualifications, talking about research activity and they're not research active, and all sorts of stuff. And so my generation now are just entering a position of leadership in our universities, maybe. We'll see what's left of our university, but we just
might want to edit that.
No edit. No, we don't edit. We do one take, every take. You know that. But what I would say is, so we're just reaching positions of leadership in universities, and I've trained a lot of your generation that's coming through. And what I want for these guys is a kind, decent, compassionate, intellectually generous environment, because we've only got a few years left. We're only going to be given probably 5 or 6 years left in our careers, and what I want to bestow to you guys, I really, really mean this, is I want a better experience than we had. So I don't want you in a toxic environment. I don't want you churned up, turning your emails on in the morning. I don't want your stomach twisting as you're getting up a set of stairs to go into your office. I want it to be what we always wanted universities to be, which was dynamic and charismatic and kind and nurturing the next generation, and the best and brightest coming together to create new knowledge. That's what we want.
How's that?
No, so that's the legacy. We'll be dead soon. Could be dead tomorrow. But what I wanted, and what a lot of my generation want, because we've been waiting so long in pretty bad situations in higher education, in our workplace, is we want the best for you, and so we want to leave the institution in a better way to you guys than was given to us. And so that's if that doesn't motivate you every day, I'm not sure what will, Nat.
I like that. Ben?
Okay, so this one's interesting. I know you like Doctor Who, don't you?
Biggest fan in the universe.
Bit of a fantasy question, I guess. If you sent one of us back in the TARDIS to see you in your past,
yes,
what would be the one thing you'd tell yourself?
Can I have two?
Both of us come back? Or?
Well, first I'd like to both. Okay, right. So the first thing is, don't marry that first husband. You know that guy? So, because that took me a while to get over. So the first guy says, you see that first guy, you know what you were thinking, don't turn up to the wedding? Dude, really, don't turn up to that wedding. So that's the first thing. Now you can tell me that, because
We're taking a copy of this tape on the TARDIS.
I was going to say, but what I would say, so Nat can tell me that, don't marry that guy, that would have made a real difference. So that's crucial. And Ben, more seriously, because he's a very serious young man now, Ben, is I'd get him to say to me, it'll be okay.
He said that to me before. Everything will be okay in the end.
It'll be okay.
If it's not okay, it's not the end. He wrote that for me. I got to uni one morning, stressed out of my head, right, in PhD mode, and there's this beautiful note that's still on my wall in my office from him saying that exactly.
You're a legend, Ben. You're a bloody legend. But what I would say is that's the advice we'd always try and give ourselves at 20, is just follow your path, walk where you're walking, don't look for footsteps in front of you, walk on the beach even though you're the first person to walk there, back yourself, believe in yourself, and it'll be okay. Because at 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, you don't know. And just believing that it'll be fine, back yourself, girlfriend, back yourself.
All right. We'll take those messages back.
I'll pass them on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Don't marry him. Second husband, excellent. First husband, bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Duly noted. Okay. So, now, as one last final question, because I know we all have lots of things to do here today, right?
Yes.
What's next, Professor Super Queen?
Oh, my darling. Look, and of course, as you can pick, I'm not a planner. So the idea that someone goes, what's next to a non-planner? You go, don't know, I'll have a cup of coffee. What I'd say is, I've loved this job. So I would have regretted in my life if I hadn't been a Dean of Graduate Research, because I've written so much on PhDs through my life that this was the dream job, and I've dealt with the most wonderful students. I mean, how fantastic is this? Fantastic staff. So it's been a great experience. It has been a great experience. But the interesting thing is I am getting some interesting jobs at the moment, and it is an interesting challenge for someone who's not a planner, where I am getting some fantastic opportunities in fantastic places that I believe in, you know, in Canada, in the UK, and here. And I'm not sure, you know, what I believe in. That's why this has been a fascinating sort of experience for me, because, you know, what do I want to do? Do I want to commit deeply to regional education and transform Australian regional education in a position that I can really do that, you know, and also, you know, as a woman, the idea that we're being offered Vice-Chancellor jobs and Deputy Vice-Chancellor jobs is terrific, and I don't want to let the side down. You know, I want, as a woman, to commit to that and say that's important and we can do it. That we, when the great job comes, we don't go, oh look, I just don't think I can do it, because what sort of lesson does that send to women and men, the wonderful generation we have that follow us? So, look, I'm not sure. I'm actually really not sure. I'm looking at the options that are available now. You know, in Australia, it is a challenging place to be an academic, particularly in my fields, because there's just not much happening in my fields, and to be frank, it feels a bit like an intellectual death at times. So that's why I work through the night with my colleagues around the world, and I try and read at the edge of knowledge to keep myself up to date. But that gets a bit depressing, Ben. And at a certain point, I've got to sort of think, you know, I want to sort of be with the people that are working at my level, in my sort of field, really working at the cutting edge of knowledge, really challenging stuff. You know, I miss that. When I left Europe and left North America, I walked away from that to come back to Australia to commit to my country where I was born and try and help the next generation get through, and I'm very proud I've done that. I've probably got 5 years left, I think, of my career, and then I will stop, but I think we'll see, we can play this in 5 years' time, but I've probably got one more 5-year job probably to do, and then I will stop and disappear into the Lake District of the UK probably. But yeah, let's see what happens. And my commitment would be, I believe in regional education, I believe in the social sciences and the humanities, and you know, somebody needs to dig in and commit to that series of disciplines, because no one really is at the moment. And I also believe in some fantastic work that's happening in interdisciplinarity. So there's sort of the 3 options that are available to me at the moment, and I'm not sure what I'm going to choose. I'm very happy at Flinders, and as you can see, I work with the best people on the planet, but the next step, as I said, I've probably got one more throw of the dice, and I've just got to decide what direction that goes in.
Sure, I like that. What an amazing set of answers. Thank you so much for letting us actually quiz you about you, because you know, you spend so much of your time inspiring all of us, right, and helping us and asking every single thing you could possibly ever think of about us. It's really lovely to hear a little bit about who you are and what's made you where you are, you know, that, and what you express to everybody all the time is just so amazing. And hearing a bit about what's in here from you and how you got to where you are is very inspiring. So thank you for sharing yourself with us today.
You are a lovely person. And can I say, the other reason, I'm going to embarrass you too, Ben, when we were talking about doing this filming today, and Ben, can I say, was the more reticent friend that joined us today, I did say to him, and I think that's the reason he came today, is that these 2 people are incredibly precious to me, and I wanted a testament of them and us that we could carry forward. So you've given me that.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Tara.
it is. Thank you so much. Have a good day, guys. You're gonna make me cry.
You're gonna make me cry.
Yeah.
Thank you. You happy with that?
Yep.
You